This is our video for Chapter 8, Lesson 4. This video is all about the volume of prisms. So remember, the volume is the amount of space that fits inside a 3D figure. So now we're talking about looking at the inside of a prism, and next lesson will be the inside of a pyramid. So first note, a prism has two parallel congruent bases. You should remember this from our last lesson, or from chapter 7, I guess we went over this. A prism has rectangular sides, and just so that you know, in the future, instead of calling them sides, you'll call them lateral faces. That's a geometry term, so you'll talk more about that in high school. These are 3 examples of prisms. Remember, we name them by the shape of their bases. So this would be a rectangular prism because all the shapes are rectangles. This would be a pentagonal prism because the 2 base shapes are pentagons. And this would be a triangular prism because the 2 base shapes are triangles. The formula for volume of any prism is V equals big B times H. Notice this is a capital B. We want that to be capital. Please make sure this is a capital B. Big B is something special. Big B is not just the base. Big B is the area of the base shape. So we have a little bit of work we have to do before we can use this formula. We have to find the area of the base. H is lowercase, and H is the height of the prism. The height is something special at this point. Height does not mean the distance from the ground up. Height means the distance between the 2 bases. So take a look down here at my example. I've got that triangular prism from the last slide. Here's one triangle. Here's one of my bases. This is my other triangle. It's the other base. So the distance between those bases is what we're going to call the height. Notice it's not up and down. It can be in any direction as long as it's the distance between the bases. Volume is measured in cubic units. So what that means is we're no longer talking about squares like we did with area. Now we're talking about a cube. So here's a picture of a cube that you can visualize. This rectangular prism is broken down into cubes. So one way we could find volume would be to count up every cube inside the prism. So we can start counting our red layer first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the red layer, we've got 6 cubes. In the green layer, we're going to have another 6 cubes. In the yellow layer, another 6 cubes. And in the blue layer, another 6 cubes. So that's 6, 12, 18, 24. The volume of that prism is 24 cubic centimeters. Remember, a cubic centimeter would be a cube measuring 1 centimeter on all sides. Obviously, we are not going to have nice diagrams like this for every problem that we do, so that's when we use our formula, V equals big B times H, where big B is the area of the base, and H is the height, the distance between the bases. Let's look at a practice problem. In your practice problems, the first thing you are going to notice is that every practice problem is going to be done the same way. The first thing I want you to do is to name the shape. Name the shape. So we are going to name this, and when I look at it, I know it's a prism. When I look at the 2 bases, I know they're triangles. So this is called a triangular prism. The reason I want you to be naming your prisms is because I want you to really focus on what the shape of the base is, because that's how we're going to find big B. Now, my bases are triangles. I'm going to give them a quick shading here. Here's one base, and here's the other base. What we need to do is we need to find the area of one of those bases. So let's start working on this guy. That is a triangle. So the formula for area of a triangle is A equals base times height divided by 2. The base is 4.5 and the height is 5. So we'll follow the order of operations. 4.5 times 5 is 22.5. And when I divide that by 2, I'm going to get 11.25. Now that's area, so it's measured in square centimeters. Remember, big B is the area of the base. So up here in big B, I'm going to put 11.25 square centimeters. We haven't even done volume yet. So far we've just done area, right? Area of the base. I only have to find the area of one of those base shapes, not both. Now, I know my big B is 11.25, so now I'm able to use my formula, volume equals big B times H. Big B, like we said before, is 11.25. Now I have to figure out what the height is. Remember, the height is the distance between the two bases. So here's my first base, there's my second. The distance between them would be this 8 centimeter piece here. So that's going to be my height. Now we can multiply 11.25 times 8 is 90. Remember, this is volume, so we're using cubic centimeters. We're no longer looking at squares, we're looking at how many cubes we can fit inside our prism. So go ahead up here and put your volume in, 90 cubic centimeters. This formula is great. It's easy if you find your base area first. It is the formula for all prisms. Any prism that you can dream up can be found, the volume can be found using V equals big B times H. That's it for today. Let's talk about your assignment. Don't forget to finish number 2 and number 3 on page 6. You must do all parts. That includes the naming, the big B, and the volume. Don't forget to do your Google form, and don't forget to update your formula card.